What do you think happens when we die, Keanu Reeves? I know that the ones who love us will miss us. Hollywood, famous for its perfect beauty and glamour, is also not without its hidden shadows of racial bias. Especially for those of African descent, they have had to face isolation, prejudice, even harsh consequences from discrimination. Therefore, many stars had to conceal their background. Some even living their entire lives in the shadow of their true identity, only for the truth to be revealed after their passing. In today's video, we'll explore Hollywood celebrities you never knew had African ancestry until now. You'll be surprised to learn that some were told to change their names or lighten their skin to avoid appearing too dark. Others were shunned for being in relationships with white stars, and some were even watched by the FBI, simply for standing up for civil rights. Let's begin with the story of Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves, the multiracial star with a blurred identity in Hollywood. Keanu Reeves is one of Hollywood's most undeniable stars, with a career spanning over 3 decades from The Matrix to John Wick. Yet few people know about his complex heritage. Born on September 2, 1964 in Beirut, Lebanon, Keanu grew up in a family where his mother, Patricia Taylor, was British, and his father, Samuel Nan Reeves Jr., was of native Hawaiian, Chinese, Portuguese, and English descent. While most people know Keanu as someone of Asian and Hawaiian heritage, few realize that he also has African roots in his lineage. Throughout his career, Keanu has rarely identified himself as having African ancestry. It's making him somewhat of an ambiguous star when it comes to racial identity. The media often emphasizes his Asian and Hawaiian sides, and no one questions the African part of his heritage, even though it's present. In fact, Keanu once revealed that when he first entered Hollywood, many people in the industry suggested that he should change his name or downplay his mixed background to make his image more marketable. He once said, frankly, in an interview, "Hollywood told me I should drop the diverse parts of who I am because I'd be easier to sell without them. Honestly, that's pretty messed up." Although Keanu didn't let that affect his career, he's always kept a certain distance from discussions about ethnicity in the entertainment world. But that wasn't the only challenge he faced. In a rare 2019 interview with GQ magazine, Keanu shared that while he has always been accepted by audiences and the industry, the identity he had to suppress for success made him feel like an outsider. While his talent is universally acknowledged, full recognition of his racial background has remained elusive. Reports note that during his early years, many people saw him as a blend of different heritages, but he was never firmly recognized as multiracial or of African descent. At that time, Keanu never claimed to represent the black community, which sparked discussions among people of color. This made his career both easier and more complex, beloved by fans, yet lacking acknowledgement for an important part of who he is. Nevertheless, Keanu Reeves' diverse ancestry remains a little-known topic, and it serves as the perfect transition to our next story. 2. Dwayne Johnson, the Rock of Two Worlds and a Life of Duality. Dwayne Johnson, born on May 2, 1972, carries 2 powerful heritages. His father, Rocky Johnson, is a black man from Nova Scotia who broke racial barriers in professional wrestling, becoming one of the first African-American champions in WWF history. His mother, Ada Johnson, is Samoan, from a family with a long athletic tradition. However, growing up in a predominantly white neighborhood in Hayward, California, Dwayne faced struggles few could understand. He was often teased and felt like he was not black enough, not white enough, not Samoan enough. Those early experiences shaped his resilience and forced him to navigate identity and belonging. Ironically, that inner conflict helped mold him into the unstoppable Rock we know today. In the late 1990s, when Dwayne debuted in WWE as Rocky Maia, he faced harsh criticism. Fans booed and mocked him, claiming he lacked charisma. He was told he wasn't black enough to be embraced by African-American audiences and wasn't white enough for others. These painful experiences pushed Dwayne into an identity crisis. Instead of giving up, Dwayne transformed into The Rock, confident, witty, unshakable character who could laugh at himself and win over crowds. As he rose to superstardom in WWE, Dwayne proudly embraced his heritage. He openly said, "My father was a black man who bled to open doors for others. I will never deny who I am. One major controversy arose when Dwayne starred in The Scorpion King. 2001. Rumors spread that his skin had been lightened on promotional posters to appeal more to European audiences, as darker tones were seen as less marketable. Critics and media outlets called this out, but Dwayne didn't let it derail him. He responded, "They can do whatever they want, but I'll always be myself," even after achieving massive success in Fast and Furious. Jumanji and his semi-autobiographical show Young Rock. Dwayne could never fully escape the challenges tied to his mixed heritage. Having both African and Samoan roots meant constantly navigating between worlds. But decades before him, another icon faced similar struggles. Someone who changed the course of music history with sounds born from the soul. Number 3. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll and his controversial roots. Elvis Presley, who revolutionized American music with timeless hits like Heartbreak Hotel and Jailhouse Rock, celebrated as the king of rock and roll. But behind that crown lies a stormy story of lineage and cultural influence. Although Elvis was hailed as the quintessential white American star, his physical features set him apart from his peers. His naturally tanned complexion, large eyes, and slightly broad nose led many to wonder whether Elvis's heritage might have been more complex than the public realized. From the start of his career in the 1950s, Elvis was deeply influenced by gospel and blues, genres rooted in black culture. Many believe it was precisely those influences that made him successful. He was among the first artists to bring the soulful rhythms of African-American music into the mainstream, transforming pop forever. However, this connection sparked endless speculation about his ancestry. Over time, rumors intensified. Some journalists and historians claimed that Elvis's family had African roots, but his mother, Gladys Presley, allegedly concealed the truth to protect his career. During the 1960s civil rights era, speculation grew that Presley came from a mixed background, part African, part English. Publications like the New York Times and Rolling Stone revisited these claims, suggesting that Elvis might have hidden his true lineage to preserve his all-American image. This raised difficult questions. Was Elvis thriving in an industry that rewarded him for downplaying his origins? His image, long celebrated as the face of white America, seemed increasingly complicated by the possibility of a more diverse heritage. Ultimately, Elvis's story, rooted in sounds and influences from black culture, illustrates the painful cost of success in a world where identity was not always freely accepted. If Elvis may have concealed his background to safeguard his career, then decades later, another artist was forced to do something similar. Though in a more subtle way, Mariah Carey, a vocal powerhouse whose image was whitened. Mariah Carey, with her incredible voice and global fame, has become an undeniable music legend. Yet behind her 1990s success lies a painful story of identity suppression for the sake of marketability. Mariah was born on March 27, 1969 in Huntington, New York. Her father, Alfred Roy Carey, was an aeronautical engineer of Venezuelan and African descent, while her mother, Patricia Hickey, was white of Irish heritage. Mariah's story began with the blending of two worlds. But as she entered the music industry, those worlds were deliberately erased. In the late 1980s, when Mariah signed with Columbia Records, the label wasted no time crafting her image. In the early years, she was pressured to lighten her skin and straighten her naturally curly hair to fit the mold of a global pop star. Her early promotional photos were edited to make her appear entirely white, an image the label believed would sell better to white audiences. Reports suggest she was advised not to attend events centered on black artists, and was even told she wasn't black enough to participate in certain circles. In a 1999 Vogue interview, Mariah confessed, "I never wanted anyone to know that I was part of the black community. What I had to do was try not to be labeled as one." But the cost of hiding her identity left deep scars. Eventually, Mariah began reclaiming her truth and publicly acknowledged her African heritage. She said, "My father was black. I'm proud of that." That revelation marked a turning point in her life and career. She evolved from a chart-topping pop diva into a symbol of racial and cultural diversity. While some fans struggled to accept this more authentic version of her, Mariah's honesty strengthened her legacy, not only as a vocal powerhouse, but also as a champion of identity and self-acceptance. And so, we arrive at our next story, one that may just offer an answer to the question, can someone truly live as themselves, despite all odds? Clark Gable, the King of Hollywood, and the legend of the erased heritage. Clark Gable, the King of Hollywood, was born on February 1st, 1901 in Ohio. He was one of the greatest icons of American cinema. His handsome looks, masculine charm, and captivating acting skills won the hearts of audiences around the world throughout the 1930s and 1940s, especially